Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cupcake Jemma channel with me, Gemma. Now I'm so excited to share this recipe. I actually stole this, well, borrowed it indefinitely, forever, from our Dane. It is for a Neapolitan Bundt cake. Thanks, Dane, for your recipe. He's so generous. I just thought it was a bit unfair that, you know, Sally's done a Bundt cake, Dane's done a Bundt cake. Where's my Bundt cake? Where's Cupcake Jemma's Bundt cake, you know? So I stole one. Because, you know, sometimes you just gotta not do any work, just let someone else do the hard work. Thanks, Dane. So Neapolitan, if you don't know, I'm sure you do, but it is a trio of delicious flavours: vanilla, strawberry and chocolate. I used to absolutely love Neapolitan ice cream growing up, so there's no wonder that I loved this Bundt cake when Dane baked it last week. With this particular Bundt, it's so important to get prepped because what we're going to be doing is making a base batter and then dividing it into three and then using those three portions to flavour our batter, our Bundt. Vanilla, chocolate and strawberry, as I said. So for goodness sake, don't leave measuring it to the last minute. I actually have done this a couple of times this week while practicing this cake and it's no fun, so don't do that. Get prepped. Another thing it's very important to do is to prepare your Buntin, and if you are lucky enough, like me, to have a really sort of heavy-duty, sturdy, new, non-stickified Buntin like this one from Nordic Ware, then you won't necessarily need to grease and flour it. You might just get away with greasing it like I'm gonna do. If you've got a slightly older Buntin, that maybe the non-stick stuff's wearing away, or maybe it's so old it predates non-stick, definitely grease it and flour it. But the main thing is to be liberal and thorough. So I've got some soft butter here and just a pastry brush, and I'm going to make sure I get into all these little grooves and nooks and crannies. Now, don't rush this because some of these Buntins, like you can see the ones on the top here, are really intricate and have loads of little annoying niggly bits, which you definitely don't just want to kind of assume that you've done. I actually, you didn't see this, but this has taken me quite a long time. You've got to make sure you get all those grooves, but I think I've done it finally. So this is nicely greased. And like I said, go ahead and flour it if you just want extra precautions. So put that to one side. And now it's time to start the batter. So I have some lovely soft butter here. As you can see, it's like squeezably soft. That's how soft your butter should be. You should be able to go like that and not come away with loads of butter on your finger. So let's whack that in, and I'm gonna beat it up for a couple of minutes until it's really pale and fluffy. Okay, this is looking lovely and pale and whippy. So now it's time to add the cream cheese. I've got 185 grams of cream cheese, and this is at room temperature. I do recommend leaving it at room temperature because if you do it straight from the fridge, what can happen sometimes is the cold cream cheese makes the butter cold again, and then you can end up with like lumpy nuggets of butter. Nobody wants that. All right, that's had a couple of minutes. It's also looking pale and fluffy, as you can see. And now I'm gonna add my sugar. I've got 415 grams of caster sugar. And then just to add a bit more air into the mix, I'm going to whip that up for another minute or so. Ooh, it's getting hot in here. So this has been going for a minute or so, and now I'm gonna add the eggs. So I have 5 large free-range eggs. I'm going to add them in 1 or 2 at a time and just beat really well after each addition. Alrighty, now at this point it does look quite curdled, and I don't want you to be alarmed by that. It's perfectly fine. Once all the dry ingredients are added to this batter, it'll all come together. Help if I could get this off, wouldn't it? Oh, there we go. So now what we need to do is weigh our batter so that we can divide it neatly into 3. You could wing this, but I wouldn't if I were you. So I've got a bowl here on my digital scales. I'm just going to weigh the whole lot of batter and divide it into 3. It's all my batter divided. Now, as I said earlier, really important to get all your ingredients measured, weighed in advance so you're not rushing around. So I have 3 bowls here with the 3 different elements for each flavour. I'm going to have vanilla in this one. This has got 100 grams of plain flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. And I'm also going to add just a teaspoon of vanilla because can't actually have a vanilla flavour cake without vanilla. So good quality vanilla extract, please, everybody. You can get this from cupcakejemma.com, just saying. And put that one in first. Actually, I'm also going to add that to the chocolate, just a half teaspoon of vanilla while I'm at it. There we go. And so, vanilla first. I'm going to use a sieve just to sieve it all through. So I'm going to pop it through the sieve here. Give it a little wiggle. And before I start mixing that, I might as well just carry on my sieving action. So for the strawberry one, I've got 80 grams of plain flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, pinch of salt, and 3 tablespoons of freeze-dried strawberry powder. Yep. And last but not least, my chocolate one is going to have 70 grams of plain flour and 30 grams of cocoa powder with a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. Why can't I get my words out? Anyway, that's going through the sieve as well. Now, before I do anything else, also, just to boost this pink colour of the strawberry, because while the freeze-dried strawberry is a lovely colour, I kind of just want it to be a little bit fake too, because that's very Neapolitan ice creamy. So I'm using this oil-based food colouring from Colour Mill, and actually, we have a discount code you can use, so if you want to get your hands on some Colour Mill, it's really good stuff. They have so many different flavours, so hit the link in the description box below. I'm just going to put like a few drops in. That'll probably do it. You don't want to go crazy, it's really concentrated stuff. So, one at a time, fold these guys in, being very careful not to knock out too much air. Lovely. Already it looks really ice creamy and yummy and summery. Right, so this is going to go into my tin, of course, but obviously we need to make sure all colours and flavours are visible. So I'm going to dollop all the batters around the tin, making sure that each part is visible on the top and the bottom and all the way through. Ooh, yeah. Got all of the batter in. Now, make sure you give it a little wiggle because you want to make sure all the batter is sitting nicely in all the grooves and alongside each flavour. There we go. And so that needs to be baked, first of all, at 170 degrees C for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes is up, I'm going to turn the oven down to 150 and bake it for a further 45 to 55 minutes. You just want to check it with a skewer, make sure it's coming out clean. Would you look at that beauty? It came out of its tin just right. I did have a hairy moment. I always do when I outturn a sort of intricately designed tin because it just feels like, oh, at any second, at the last minute, it could just fall apart, get stuck in the tin, but this time it didn't. It looks great. As you can see, we've got all the flavours visible. We've got a bit of pink for the strawberry. Obviously, it's a little bit on the brown side, but once you cut into it, I assure you, that is going to be deliciously pink. But the first thing we're going to do before we slice into it is glaze it. Now, if you want, you can ice this with, I don't know, you could maybe put some whipped cream on it, and maybe some cherries, I don't know, whatever. You could leave it naked, you could dust it with icing sugar, but I'm gonna make a really simple glaze. So I've got 450 grams of sifted icing sugar here, and I've got 135 millilitres of whole milk. That's 9 tablespoons, if you were wondering. And I'm just gonna mix that with a whisk. Now, if you wanted to put a bit of lemon juice in there, you could, or maybe a bit of vanilla. Personally, I think this cake already has just the right amount of vanilla, so I'm just going to keep it really simple. Mostly this is for decoration rather than flavour. So that just needs to be poured over, but I'm going to make my life a little bit easier by decanting it into this jug here. That way I can really tell it where to go, you know? Oh, I'm so glad that fit. We weren't sure, were we, Nikki? Wow. All right, so just use your jug to drizzle it all over the place. Right, I think that's about covered. As you can see, it's quite a nice thin glaze. You could go thicker by putting a bit more icing sugar in if you wanted to, but I don't, so it's like this. So I'm going to use this handy cake lifter thingamabob just to slide it onto something pretty. Like this delightful terrazzo. I'm not even sure what this is. Some kind of chopping board. Anyway, I don't know what it is, but I love it. And now all that remains is to eat it. And I probably better guess, run it past Dane since it is his recipe. Dane, oh Dane!
I'm here, I'm coming. I heard you say bundt cake. I'm here to try this delicious looking bundt cake. It looks great. I like the finish of the glaze. It gives it a nice touch.
Thanks. Do you wanna be mother?
Oh yeah, I'll do the honours.
Okay.
Right, cut this side.
Excited to see what it looks like inside. Let's have a look. Oh,
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, yay!
Very satisfying swirls.
See, you don't need to like wiggle it around and marble it too much.
Oh no, it does its own marbling.
Because also, you want to be able to taste the distinctive flavours when you eat it, not like
do.
have a whole mishmash in your mouth. Well,
No.
I don't anyway. You might want to do whatever you like, guys.
Do whatever
if you want to ripple it, go ahead.
Right, do you want the bigger slice?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a feeling, oh yes, it is ever so slightly still warm.
It is.
That's the best. Warm bundt cake, no joke, is one of the
So
best things
good.
ever. Let's see. Oh gosh.
Very soft. And a nice like rich cake as well. I feel like the cream cheese just gives it that extra
It does.
cushioning.
It's kind of it's like fudgy, but without being dense.
Yeah, which is great because I usually like a cake with icing. But it doesn't really have any icing to go with it. It's a nice moist cake on its own.
I mean, no joke, I think this slice is a bit too much for me.
But
I'm going to give it a good go. I haven't had my lunch yet, so we'll see how far I get.
This is lunch and dinner. Lunch and a snack.
This might be lunch and dinner, yeah, maybe. We'll
We'll
see how
see.
careful! We'll see how we get on. You can really taste the strawberry as well.
Yeah.
And like, you just wouldn't get this effect with fresh strawberries in the mix.
No. The
It'd
strawberry
just be
powder.
too wet, yeah. The freeze-dried strawberry powder. You could do this with raspberry powder as well.
That would be good.
It would, wouldn't it?
You can even get like passion fruit powder. I love a bit of passion fruit.
We all know you love a bit of passion fruit, Dane. Oh, yawn. Well, thank you for your recipe, DP.
Welcome.
And thank you for watching me, hope not to mess it up.
You did a great job.
Thanks. We'll be back next week. Don't forget, if you want all the ingredients, we do put it in the description box below, but if you want a downloadable PDF, you can join Bake Club over on Patreon, where you'll be able to download it and print it and put it in a folder. That's what I do. Nice dance.
Thanks.
All right, well, we'll be back next week. See you then. Until then, it's Bundt time.
It is.